Lots to talk about on this week's episode of Where Whites Walk. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you are well. We're talking, of course, about the demolition of Bristol City, the party in Plymouth, where the title shall be paraded, no doubt, and just what are all these rumours about Farke being sacked? Are we having any of that whatsoever? Plus, Ipswich spent 150 million to stay up in the Premier League, and they're coming straight back down. So just how much are Leeds going to have to spend so they do not repeat that feat? Of course, Jacob's back with us. Thank you for being with us as well. Yeah, Jacob, only 2 more of these to go, and before you're going to be champions, aren't you? I think after that, there's no way you're not beating Plymouth.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, obviously Plymouth, don't have anything to play for, do they? Is it on goal difference that they need to stay up, but they need about 30 goals?
They need 16-0.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they'll have nothing to play for. After tonight, there's no reason why we can't go down there and, put 5 past them. That's not being horrible to them. It is, it's just the reality at the moment. You look at it, like 10 goals in the last 2 games is absolutely ridiculous from us. And the way we play tonight, we've got to go down there and win.
Yeah, the title is coming there. We believe lots of fans are going to travel without tickets as well and take over the town centre. Obviously, that's all going to be good spirited. Right, what did we learn about this Leeds side from this game? Some great goals, good contributions. Noto getting one as well, which is always good to see him on the score sheet. What's your takeaway from it?
Yeah, absolutely. Just relentless from like minute 1. We just looked up for it. Obviously, no hangovers. Just look really up for it. Everybody. I thought Aronson was terrific tonight. Tanaka obviously getting the first goal, buzzing for him again. Ramazani, when he came on, was absolutely electric. The touch for that 4th goal and the finish was just unbelievable. Nobody deserves it more for me. Just all round, like nobody switched off. Defense was really sound. And yeah, just a performance, that champions deliver.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. We'll talk about Farke in a second, but the awards, the EFL awards have taken place obviously since we last saw you. What was your view of the team of the team of the year? Obviously, Dan James and Tanaka making that. Were you surprised that there weren't more Leeds players in that?
Yeah, I quite like the team, to be fair. I think it was fair how they did it. Obviously it wasn't all Leeds and Burnley. Obviously there was a sprinkle of other players in there. I would have liked to seen Firpo over Harrison Burrows, to be fair. Obviously Harrison Burrows has been good, but I think Firpo's goals and assists this season, his contribution, at that end of the pitch has just been phenomenal. So I'd like to see him in there. Yeah, really pleased for Tanaka that he got in. Bogle as well. Obviously Dan James, brilliant. I don't think you can really argue with any of the others. I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but I don't think Joe Bellingham should have been there, to be honest. I think Josh Brownhill probably should have taken that spot. But look, it's irrelevant, and it was at the end of the day we had 3 players in it, and it was good to see. Good to see us, in the team this season.
The one that has got most people scratching their heads is the EFL Player of the Season, of course, which went to Hamer, and as many people have pointed out, well, last time I checked, he's not promoted yet. Did that one puzzle you?
Yeah, a bit. I think obviously he's been good. He's a top player at this level. Scored some really good goals and been important, but Sheffield United are miles off where us and Burnley are. I know you can't really discourage Harmer for not being top or second. Obviously, it's not really, you can't really carry the team on his back, and he's been good. But I think there's a few. Obviously, Dan James been excellent. James Trafford been excellent. I think probably Trafford deserved it overall for me. I was going to be biased and say James, but I'll let the Burnley fans have Trafford on this one. But anyway, could have won it, and to be fair, they gave it him, and I can see why.
Yeah, we asked all our other podcasters for their player of the season. They weren't allowed to choose a player of their own, and over 14 of the other 23 clubs chose Dan James independently as being the player of the season. A couple of others chose Tanaka as well, which is great to see. Yeah, I mean he's absolute class, Dan James, isn't he? Absolutely brilliant. Okay, since we last met you, then obviously you've been promoted and they had the parties and so on. Your little bucket hat on last week, which was great. 24 hours, I think, later, we're then hearing on TalkSport, and I don't know whether it's that particular media group making stories up or whether it's agents starting something, but then we start hearing this nonsense of that the owners are considering replacing Farker for the start of next season. What did you make of it, first of all, in terms of the sources of which we brought this out? And is there no smoke without fire?
I mean, there's always going to be rumours in there. I felt quite bad for him, really, getting the club promoted after what happened last year and the season we've had this year. And, then he gets hit with, oh, he's going to be sacked and this and what, Yeah, like I said, do feel a bit bad for him, but I could probably see, all these stories, were going to come eventually, weren't there? Some of the names that are being chucked about, Mourinho, things like that. It's absolutely mental, isn't it? But to be fair, I can also see why people are saying, oh, maybe, it is a good decision with his record at Norwich. I can see that. But for me, you've got to give him a chance. At Norwich, obviously, it's a whole different thing there, with the budget, the squad of players he had. I'm sure we're going to talk about, obviously, what we need to do to stay up in the Premier League. But, he knows this group. He's got the best out of the players in this group in the end. And I think we should give him a chance. It'll be really harsh on him not to give it a go in the Premier League. But yeah, it's a big decision that the board have to make at the end of the day, unfortunately.
Brilliant, yeah. And it means, now you're Premier League, you can have Jack Harrison back as well. Offers that'd be great. Right. Yeah, Ipswich, we mentioned, spent all this money then trying to stay up in the division, and Jacob, they've not even come close. 150 million spent buying all the best championship players. You could argue they haven't bought Premier League quality, and that's why they're coming down. But they spent ridiculous amount of money, and like I say, 18 points short, I think it is, of Wolves. Where do you think Leeds are in comparison to kind of the Ipswich and Leicester, Southamptons that are coming down? Are you in a better position, a starting position, do you think, than these teams were?
Yeah, I think so, and that's not being biased. I think we've got a better squad than when we actually went down, and then we've talked about that a lot. But you look at some of the players we've got now. Nonto's obviously, proved it at Premier League level. Tanaka will, Dan James, even like Aronson. For Aronson was brilliant tonight. He can prove it. Jaden Bogle, excellent. I think just the core of the squad, we've got players there that we can build it around. Tanaka, Bogle, James. We've got players there we can build around. Whereas I think with Ipswich, obviously, obviously it was back-to-back promotions for them, wasn't it? They did have to keep a few of their players that they had in that League One team that went up. I know they invested quite heavily, but it wasn't really those experienced players. You had your Liam Delaps, Jack Clark, Philogene, all those players that, yeah, they'd had a good season in the Championship, but they're not established Premier League level players. And I think that's what we're going to have to go and do. Bring players in that are going to keep us in the division. Bring players in that are going to have that Premier League experience. Maybe even look into Europe for some good finds, some free agents. And I think, to be fair, the 49ers, even with Farker, they'll have some really good links and they'll be able to get some good deals done.
Yeah, starting with the goalkeeper, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the number one priority. Even though Darlow's been good, I don't think he can cut it as a first choice keeper. But yeah, let's see. It'd be brilliant if we could bring a really, really good goalkeeper in.
Yeah, and we can't crystal ball this, but Darla is one of the reasons you've gone up, haven't you? Because with Meslier in goal, I genuinely don't think you probably would be the chance of picking up this
Yeah,
trophy at Plymouth.
this last month he's been really solid. He's proved why he should have been given a chance. And obviously, you look at it. What would have happened if we'd played him a bit earlier? We could have been on 110 points by now.
Okay. Well, to pick up 100 points in any season,
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Anyway, to be
it's
fair,
ridiculous.
and
Yeah,
let's. I'm sure
brilliant.
we'll do the business.
Congratulations again. Right. It is the final away day of the season, of course, as well. So we're asking Jacob and you to put in the comments what's been your favourite away trip this season. There's been a few that I'm sure you can recollect. Let us know by tapping in the comments below, and we'll give a shout out to some of these next week. Jacob, I know you've done a few this season. What's been the best overall performance, do you think, of all the 2022 so far?
Been some brilliant ones. one that sticks out for me is Sheffield United away, of course. I mean, I think everybody knew from then on. I know we had a bit of a stumble after that, but I think everybody kind of knew from then on that we go on to get promoted. For me, just that second half was unbelievable. The fight showed that Pirro goal. Back to back, obviously with that Sunderland game, it was just phenomenal for me. A few earlier in the season as well, Cardiff away, Derby away at Christmas time. Aronson getting that late goal, Stoke away's been decent. Yeah, there's been incredible performances. Obviously, I know some of our better games have come at Ellen Road, and that Middlesbrough one recently as well was a really, really good game. Should have been 3-0, but obviously we had those dodgy offside calls. But now for me, Sheffield United away has got to stick out.
Okay. Are you going to miss the Championship?
Yeah, of course. To be fair, I was actually quite I don't think excited's the word, but I was quite optimistic when we came down that we'd have a good time in the Championship. We'd be fighting for promotion again. And I knew some players like Somerville, Ruter would really thrive playing more games. And who knows? Maybe we'll be back this time next year. Let's hope not, though. Let's not do.
Yeah. Well, you've already seen lots of fans saying, see you in 12 months and all that. Yeah. Brill. Right. Thanks, Jacob. I really appreciate you coming on again straight after the game and doing that review for us. Thank you very much, of course, for watching. We're doing one more next week. The promotion party, the title party. We'll review all of that and get Jacob's view on the inevitable win at Plymouth. And we'll see you in 7 days' time to review it all. Who do you want to go down, just out of interest, because that's going to be settled this weekend?
Love it if it was Derby, to be fair. I don't know. I think it's going to be a really interesting final day. A lot that could go on. Luton have started to pick up results, aren't they, to be fair? So they might be safe. Stoke can still go down, can't they? Preston. Be mad to see Preston get relegated from the Championship. Yeah, Derby. Derby for me. That's the one to be fair. I don't really care about anyone else. Just be funny if Derby went down.
Okay, boom. Thanks so much for joining us. Join us next week. Have a great week, everybody. Enjoy it.